everybody. I'm Largo. This is the Lair. And tonight we're going squatching. I brought my little fuzzy buddy to join us. And my other little fuzzy buddy, Wilhelm, who is hiding somewhere. But he'll be here in a moment. There he is.
I'm rumored to exist.
Indeed. Well, you're down there with Florida Man. You never know. One of these days I might get a message saying Florida Man has abducted Will. Taking him out to the Gators. But as much fun as it would be just squatching with you, it's better with friends, more friends. So We've asked some buddies of ours who are also fans of the Bigfoot, among other things, to join us. So let's introduce them, shall we? Run a clip. There they are. Several of our friends from the Axis of Awesome, among other places, they hang out. They do some great stuff with G.I. Joe Adventure Team and some really cool Sasquatch and Bigfoot custom types. So glad to see you guys again. Had a great time last time we hung out. So be fun to get together and do some squatching tonight.
Cheers.
Glad to be here. Oh, and Jim. That intro, I mean, that would make like a great Halloween special. That was awesome.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have to blow it out on Halloween for Beasties and Baddies. That's like the Baddies' favorite night.
Adam will be the man. Adam's the Halloween expert.
There you go.
No, that guy right there is.
No,
I mean Jeff. We love Halloween. I mean, love it.
Oh, it's a lot of fun.
Jeff's just a Christmas elf, Adam.
What's that?
I said Jeff's just a Christmas elf. I've seen pictures.
Yes, I've done that too. I know. You remember those pictures?
Indeed. Well, let's check out the chat real quick, and then we'll jump into what we got going on tonight, because we got a hoot nanny. It's chock full of hoot with a little bit of nanny. We got old Ted Millich here. He's saying Sasquatch is just an unknown animal or something more. You don't know. Bjorn likes Bigfoot, and we like Bjorn. So Bigfoot, aliens, ancient mysteries. I'm into all that stuff. Cool, Ted, because we'll touch on some of it tonight. Our buddy Gojitron, let us squatch. Indeed. Oh boy. And Goji's a man after my own heart. Bigfoot, Nessie, Yeti, Chupacabra, Mothman, Jersey Devil. It's all good. All real until proven otherwise. I'm with you. So who else we got running around in here? There's that Wilhelm fella. He keeps popping up.
Florida Skunky.
He's jumping in the chat.
That's it. The Epic Badger, who's also probably had a few Bigfoot sightings out there in God's country, Wyoming or whatnot. I don't, he's out there somewhere where the buffalo roam. And what else we got going on here? I think that's about it. We're kind of caught up. Oh, Epic Badger says, please stop asking me about my relatives if we have seen Bigfoot. It's just those hippies down the street. Fair enough.
Eat enough mushrooms, you'll see anything.
That's right. Well, I know we've all got our cryptid experiences and things we want to jump into. I figured tonight, just to keep it light and fun and under 6 hours of chatting, we'll just stick more to the pop culture versions of Bigfoot and Sasquatch, because there's a whole bunch. Quite the rabbit hole when I was doing some research to put this together. And so we'll just kind of skim the surface, but everybody get in where you fit in. You want to jump in on something, we'll do it. I thought it might be cool to start with some of the customs y'all have been doing. because they're fun. I just picked up my first Bigfoot, the G.I. Joe Adventure Team version, and I'm having fun with that. But he's a little undersized. He's kind of, I call him Junior because I figure Bigfoot should be a little bigger for 1/6 scale. But y'all went all out.
They based that on the Yeti, which is really supposed to be more of a shorter in stature type character. So that body is just the Yeti painted or furred brown and painted brown. So
yeah, I figure it's a good start. We'll try to improve on it, like some of y'all have. This is one that Jeff. Is this one that you had custom made for you, or is this one that you did?
It is back probably. Gosh, I don't know what do you think, Lyle? 10 years ago, maybe.
At least 7 or 8. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was getting into doing some custom stuff, and I wanted a Bigfoot for a photo story, and I'd already bought some stuff off a horror artist out in New Mexico named Chris Andres, and I commissioned him to make me this Bigfoot. I said, make it however you want it. I don't care. And it took him about, 3 months, and then he sent this to me, and then I created a photo story around it. Originally, I did it for Facebook. Then I did it for my YouTube channel. Then I scrapped it and actually redid it a couple years ago. And I came up with Search for the Savage Sasquatch, which is what this is from. It's about, I would say 15 inches tall.
Yeah, that's about the right size.
Yep.
Yeah, he should definitely tower over a Joe. And
He does. He does.
He's got a great sculpt. I mean, I see a little bit of troll in there in that face sculpt, but he's definitely.
I brought him out.
He does not look friendly. I would not try to offer him or do any. I wouldn't try and do any Bigfoot calls to him.
So like this is all sculpted from polyclay with a wire skeleton. So
okay.
Yeah, and really, if you saw any other Chris's other stuff, you'd say that's pretty mild compared to some of his
other stuff. 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
That does look great, though, and I'm sure
do a whole episode on that.
Yeah, I was going to say, for doing photo for toy photography or your photo stories, that's a great piece to be able to put out there and get some good shots out in the wild. Looks really great in the outdoors, especially with the light on him like that. I'm digging it.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that was a great pick.
That's a fun one. Now, is this one that you sent, Ed?
Yeah, that's one of mine.
I can't see him too well.
Well, that's how I think that was his mysterious Sasquatch he made. You made that for probably about a year or so, didn't you? Off and on?
Yeah, this one I took.
Well, there he is.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's about 15 inches tall, all fake fur. He's actually got a fully articulated body I made.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What did you make that out of? I remember when you were making it, but I never even asked you about that.
I took, the cheap, the face, the head, and everything I sculpted, but I took the cheap $10 like Marvel figures.
Okay.
I had a Marvel Hulk, and I actually extended the arms and extended the legs, and just kept the joints, and then wrapped them up in some tape and some padding just to give him some girth, and then. But yeah, he's about 14 and a half inches tall.
Cool.
That's awesome.
I was going to ask, do you have a naked dog running around somewhere because you shaved him to make that thing? Or?
No, but the neighbor has a hairless cat.
I took it all off. I took it off the top of Jeff's head.
There you go.
That was my beard.
Yeah, that was Jeff's beard.
I remember Adam Ed, when you made that, you would post pictures, and it was so. You couldn't tell. I mean, it was great because you couldn't tell all the way. You're like, is that a Bigfoot? So
yeah, I posted
really
pictures on Facebook. Like you always show, like when you see it in the news and stuff.
Yeah.
It's blurry in the background, brown figure just lurking in the woods. Posted a ton of pictures like that.
Well done.
I love the fact that he's got all that hair and you just see these eyes piercing out. That's kind of cool.
That's cool that you made that from the existing body because Adam does that as well. And you guys always seem to find the right bodies for that. I never find anything around here, so I just try to make him from wire, which is great. Because Cotswold does an abominable snowman, and I don't like it very much because it just doesn't look right to me. But
yeah.
Now, these are some other ones she's working on, Jeff, that for your Yeti, or
Yeah, those are 2 abominable snowmen I made for photo stories. The one with the darker features was from the wild man of Kathmandu, and the guy next to him was the hunt for the albino Bigfoot. And he's actually bigger than my other Bigfoot. I sculpted this from scratch. I got on my Skunkworks Facebook page, I did a step-by-step, and I also did a series of videos, but I sculpted the head and then the feet and then the hands with polyclay and
that came out great. I love the
size
color
is
in
awesome.
the eyes and mouth. Yeah.
So he's posable. He's got a wire skeleton.
nice.
Yeah,
I like
love
the
this guy.
I like the sloping forehead on there. It gives him more of a, he's seen some action.
I sold the other one on eBay. That was a completely separate wild story.
Yeah.
I made it as well. I'm making a Bigfoot right now. I was showing the guys earlier. I'll show you real quick. So here's kind of what I start with. This is the skeleton I use. So I make everything out of wire and plastic, and I also sculpt everything. I got a foot here I've worked on from polyclay.
Nice.
Excellent. Yeah.
So I'm working on a Bigfoot, and Lyle's talking to me about it, and it's been a 2-year project because I haven't had time. So now that my workshop's done, I'll probably finish him.
I was going to say the first thing you need to put in any workshop is a round to it. Those are always hard to find.
Jesus, I know. Yeah, they're like jackalopes, hard to find.
Exactly. But this one also photographs real well. That's the one that you sold out or sold to.
Yep. I like the way it turned out. It was a really cool one. I just decided, I've got 3 cryptids. I might as well just see how one sells.
Yeah. Bjorn's asking how tall. This was what, 14, 15 inches?
Yeah, about 15. Yeah, they're all roughly the same size.
Cool.
I just scale them to what I think like a Bigfoot's anywhere from like 8 to 12 feet tall. So I just 1/6 scale that out and then kind of build it out, and wherever it ends up, it ends up,
Shaitan's Hammer mentioned it's a little bit like the old Rankin Bass stop motion. The armatures that they put underneath their
100%
figures.
Yep.
Very cool. I'm always worried. I remember I had that Evil Knievel from Ideal as a kid. You put him on the bike and wind it up. After about a year, his poor bendies would just break up, and then he had, I always worry about especially like this guy's got that wire frame. I'm not sure how well those hold up. Do they need to be replaced every now and then? Or
no, I think the material nowadays is a lot more resilient than what it was back in the 70s. I mean, obviously there's going to be a chance that the wire could break. I braid my wire, so it's a lot stronger. Actually, I learned how to make my actual wire armatures from watching people who do stop motion animated puppets on YouTube. Cool. That's kind of how I took all my ideas. This is Adam's, Greg.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
I love the mouth on this. Is this the one that you made out of a Marvel Venom?
Yep.
We saw that
awesome.
the last time. Just so you know, guys, everyone in the chat's loving these things. So
awesome, guys.
Yeah.
Links are in the description below to each of these fellas' channels. Please check out their stuff. They've got some great, not only some how-tos on putting these things together, but also photo stories where they tell a whole story with these fellas. And
I think Adam, Ed, and I all have the same thing in common. Invention or necessity is the mother of all invention. We wanted something that was more scaled to G.I. Joe, so we couldn't find anything. So we just either had it made or made it ourselves.
Yeah.
Anybody out there can do that.
Yeah, anybody can do this. I got lucky when I found this. It stands about 16 inches tall, but it was the scale why I bought it. I knew I could do something with it. So I thought, what? I think it'd make a great Bigfoot or a Sasquatch. So that's what I did.
Adam, is that a solid figure or is that one of those
it's
hollow?
It's solid. It's
solid,
heavy.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's very, it's articulated. It's really a good figure.
I think it's huge.
Yeah, it is.
You did a great job furring that too.
Well, it's like Grandpappy used to say,
Look at
go
that.
big or go home.
Yeah, he's pretty big.
When Adam was showing off his customs on Jim's show the last time when it was just Adam's on as the guest, I was telling Adam that his Squatch towers over mine. And I have small Squatch envy now because mine.
Yeah, when you see him next to this 12-inch Joe, you really see just how massive this guy is. It looks
It's not the
awesome.
size of your Squatch, and it's how you use it. So you do a good job.
I remember to tell the girls that I got a Squatch that's big enough. Trust me.
My wife loves a little Squatch.
Yeah.
Bless her heart.
That's great. I love the blast effect on this one.
Oh
And
yeah.
I hope I got them in the right order, because then
Yeah,
after,
no, it looked
after
great.
you shot at them, we see what happens, because the bullets don't work too well because he got them.
Adam,
Yeah, he
was
just-
that your first photo story, or was it was the werewolf one, like the desert wolf one, your first one?
No, the Skinwalker was my first one.
That's right.
Yeah, that one there is from the Monster of Magalum Rim.
Yeah, that was an awesome one.
Did you use different fox fur or faux fur, or however you'd like to say it, or did you just trim some of it down?
No, I just used it was just a solid painted plastic figure. You know, it looked like Venom.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just added the faux fur to it, and I did sculpt the head, make it more conical shape. I changed the eye sockets and the nose, try to make it look a little
Like
bit
the
more.
hair on the chest looks longer than like on his head. So did you trim the head down?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I on the legs, actually, like on the arms and on the legs, I would take the faux fur and cut it into a fine powder,
Yeah.
and almost like flock it.
Yeah.
But on the
it turned
chest, I
out
would
great.
feel like
Yeah.
heavier on the chest.
Yeah, it turned out great.
Very
Yeah, it's
cool.
cool. It's kind of like when you see those like an alley cat, like those male cats where they get all like they rub around and like
Yeah.
like they have matted fur, and then they also have like
It's
some
amazing.
patches where it's coming out, and they do it to be more attractive to the ladies. But
Now I gotta say I'm partial to Ed's Zen Squatch here.
That's my meditating Bigfoot. Him and I meditate every day for 30 minutes together. I put a little
Very
crystal
cool.
in his lap and we just chill and meditate every day. 30 minutes
Nice.
every morning.
He's finding his inner Squatch. But these were fun, guys. I love seeing the custom stuff you guys come up with. It definitely inspires me. And I got Junior here to get started, but I might try to find something to build.
The
Be a
wire
little
frame
beefier.
inside that one, Jim, is pretty heavy duty, so you shouldn't have too much of a problem with it. If the feet come off, it's coming out where the actual wire attaches to the foot, not the wire itself.
Yeah.
Okay, so I
I know the other day you
done
said
with
that
a little
foot-
surgery.
Foot seemed a little loose, so it's probably where the actual connection is, not the actual.
Yeah, because it's sewn together pretty well, but I can
Yeah.
tell the foot itself is not attached to the wire frame on one side. It is on the
Yeah.
other. But he's cute and cuddly. I like him. He's a good start, like I said. But
I think they basically took the wire and then used like shrink wrap over top of the wire frame and then stuffed it into a foot peg, if I remember those correctly.
yeah, I might try doing a little surgery on him, see if we can fix that. But whoops, he has a little trouble standing right now, so we'll see
The
how he
interesting
goes.
thing about that figure and Ed touched on earlier, that's basically the same figure from the Abominable Snowman set, right?
Yeah.
I think I did a video a while back where the G.I. Joe Collector Club did a newsletter where they looked at all those Adventures of G.I. Joe figures where that Abominable Snowman came, and they had a mock-up of what the original was going to be, and the original was going to have a much larger plastic figure type Yeti. And then they went with the soft goods ones instead and dumbed it down a little bit. But the old one, I wish I had a picture of it right now. I'd show it to you guys.
Well,
But,
they based that off because they figured out that they made that Wampa for Star Wars relatively
Yes.
cheap.
Same
And that's
kind
why
of
they
thing.
went that thing. They went that route with
Yep.
it because it was so much cheaper to go that route than that honking
Right.
plastic thing.
I'll send you
Yeah.
a picture, Jim, of that original Yeti, but it was a completely different sculpted out plastic figure.
Yeah, that's a good thought. I looked at some of like the old vintage or even some of the modern 12-inch Chewbacca's to use as a customizer, but he's kind of slim.
Yeah, I have a couple. I used him originally as my Chewbacca, and he's actually he's tall enough, but he's too thin.
Being customers
Cool.
Hey, I mean,
Be out in a second, okay? Fine, Mom.
How you
He's
doing,
ready
Ollie?
to go
Say
ride
bye.
his bike. Hey, buddy. Nice. Yeah, I do like how he looks with my 1/12 scale critters. You know, I've got some of my other monsters for the smaller scale. He's perfect. He's
For
big
sure.
and
Yeah.
so I'll definitely use him in some photo stories with the littler fellas.
Yeah, because
But,
he's probably what, Jim, 11 inches tall?
Yeah, he's about 11 and a half ish.
Yeah. So, on a
yeah,
6.5 inch Action Force figure, it's about perfect.
yeah. So we'll see where it goes with that. But you know, it was kind of, I wanted that Air Adventurer, and I found that really nice set, and it was like, well, it's got Bigfoot. I got to get it. So, you know, that was a
I
good
like
way to
that
start.
review of your set too. That was cool.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun with that.
Yep.
I don't do a whole lot of reviews on the channel anymore just because they're so time consuming. But, you know, getting back into the 12-inch adventure team, I'm having a lot of fun with that. So we'll kind of see how that journey goes. But
I know,
speaking
I
of
think-
journeys,
It was a nice unboxing.
I think we all agree, like when it comes to a G.I. Joe antagonist or a villain, it has to be larger than a Joe. It just has to, in my book.
Yep.
so I've kind of got some adversaries I've been collecting. I'll put some videos out over time as I get more of them in the layer here. But I've been going through some of my old stuff and seeing what I could find that would work. So I'll make some suggestions on some older figures you might be able to still pick up on the cheap, and some of the newer stuff like that robot, that scrap bot I showed the other day with Mike Power. There's stuff out there. It's just, you know, matter of looking, or customizing is always a way to go.
Yep.
But we're here tonight to do some squatching. So welcome again to our guests. I got I got the stamp up here for Axis of Awesome says founding member, because we do have founding members here tonight. I need to get one that doesn't have the founding member thing on it so I can put that on.
I don't have that one either.
But I figured it's okay to use tonight because there are founding members in our August assembly tonight. So, but let's talk about Bigfoot in popular culture, because he's all over the place. And I found some interesting stuff I think you guys might enjoy. You know, just going over the basics for those who came in late. Bigfoot is believed to live in the forests of North America. While there is no concrete evidence of his existence, many sightings and footprints have been reported throughout the years. And there he is, keeping on trucking. And you'll see him everywhere. There have been numerous sightings and encounters of Bigfoot all over the world, and many people continue to search for evidence of his existence. And if you look on one of these maps, there's a couple of these out there that are covering Bigfoot sightings throughout the years. This one seemed to be the most up-to-date that I found, but if you just Google Bigfoot sightings, you'll find all kinds of different maps that people have done. The darkest ones are up to 400 or more sightings, and the lighter shades are less than 10. But you can see North America on up into Canada. He's everywhere and seen a lot. And that's not even counting his cousin, the Yeti, that's over in the Far East and whatnot. So he's definitely a popular fella for never being actually photographed real well, but he's definitely part of our culture. And he's got a lot of different names, depending on where you are in the country or the world. He's called different things. We all, Bigfoot is our colloquialism that we use. Our neighbors up north use Sasquatch more, but, that's kind of interchangeable. Down in Florida, in Wilhelm's neck of the woods, they got the skunk ape. In Ohio, they have the grass man. Arkansas has the folk monster. And that was there's a movie about that. We'll talk about that in a minute. My favorite is Virginia. They got the wood booger.
Wood booger.
The wood booger.
Yep.
Somebody's drinking some moonshine when they came up with that one. Appropriately in Whitehall, New York, they have the monster of Whitehall. Missouri has Momo. Louisiana got the Honey Island Swamp Monster. That sounds like a sandwich you ordered down there. Give me the Honey Island Swamp
It
Monster.
probably is a sandwich in one of the joints.
Michigan's got the Dewey Lake Monster. Arizona has help me pronounce this, Adam, Mogollon?
Mogollon Rim, yes.
Mogollon.
The
And
monster
there's
of Mogollon Rim.
I was going to say, McGollin's got an interesting story. I looked that one up because I know that's kind of your neck of the woods. Maybe we can touch on that later.
It's just north of me, yeah.
Okay. Southern Illinois, they got the Big Muddy Monster. Very, they weren't real imaginative on the name on that one. West Virginia's got the Old Men of the Mountain. So he's out there, many other names, but it's still Bigfoot. Still smells like a skunk ape. Also known as Wood Ape, Bushman, Tree Man, and Wild Man, depending on who you're talking to. And that's not even counting all the Native American names for him. A lot of lore in the tribes of these entities, whether they be wild men of another tribe or something else, they got their own terminology for him as well. But man, there are theories. You start bouncing around the interwebs, you find all kinds of stuff. I just pulled a couple of my favorites. You guys have probably heard some other ones, but chime in when you see one that tickles your fancy. Bigfoot is the missing link. Bigfoot is an unclassified ape. Bigfoot is a subspecies of Homo sapiens. Bigfoot is a tribe of feral wild men. Bigfoot is an alien. Bigfoot is from another dimension. Bigfoot is a time traveler. That one's kind of, I think, my favorite.
I like the last two.
Yeah. What off the wall theories have you guys heard?
There's actually a big connection in the paranormal investigation world of alien sightings being in the same general vicinity as Bigfoot, and that's where that one comes from, right?
Okay.
I think a lot of it more is really the fact that Chewbacca created the big alien furry ape thing, but
Sure.
My favorite one is more likely probably the unclassified ape of being a Gigantopithecus that has evolved to be able to walk upright completely and function as a hidden member of the world.
Right.
My only concern with that, Ed, is it might do a disservice. If this is an intelligent creature who's not an ape, but something more akin to us, maybe just a cousin, then people might just think it's a dumb animal, and it might just be just as smart as us, maybe smarter because he doesn't like to be seen. I don't know.
Champion of the world.
I go with that theory because there's a lot of sightings, but it's very rare that they're aggressive or they try to attack people. They try to avoid people, or they don't seem very aggressive. So I think that shows intelligence. If it was just a wild animal, it just has instincts.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's why I kind of lean towards the ape theory, because gorillas are really super intelligent, right? And the Gigantopithecus is basically a gigantic gorilla from the past. But if you look at what some of the gorillas do, I mean, they'll walk right up to people that are in the jungle and just try to intimidate just to keep them away from the rest of the group, right? So you hear a lot of stories about Sasquatch throwing rocks or just grunting, to get people away from them. They're not aggressive. It's just, this is my territory. I'm here. You might want to take a walk the other direction.
Yeah,
there is that.
I've been all over the place on what I think Bigfoot is. when I was a kid, you thought he was some kind of cryptid type creature who's just, like 5 or 6 of him in the whole world. And then, I went through a period of time where I thought, maybe it doesn't even exist. And then, I've bounced all over everywhere, but I definitely think there's something out there. I think it's clever. I think it's intelligent. I also think the hardest part about the Bigfoot mythos to me is sifting through the bullshit and then getting down to like the real people that you trust in the community. You can find some scientists who are like, you think, yeah, they're really, really, I think these guys really are onto something. And then I always compare it to like the UFO community, right? For 50, 60 years, everybody said if you believed in UFOs, you were a kook. And here we are in the last 24 months, the Pentagon, NASA a couple days ago, the State Department, everybody's thinking, oh, UFOs are real. And you're like, what? And then you hear about all the government planning all these people in these communities and feed them all this disinformation. And I feel the same way about the Bigfoot community. And have to be careful because you have to really figure out who's full of shit and who isn't. And
Yeah.
I personally believe it's a separate creature that nobody knows about. I think it's clever. I think it's good at evading detection. And I subscribe a little bit to the Hollow Earth theory in a way that this could be something that, I don't say it's interdimensional, but it's something that it's going somewhere and coming out of somewhere.
Yes.
And if you look at the cave systems across everywhere, the missing 411 stuff, I think all of it, not to go Fox Mulder on you guys, I think it all kind of ties together in a way, but I also think that we're not at the point where we're going to understand it yet because there's so many grifters out there who are just, I think there was a guy up in Canada, you guys all remember this, maybe last year, the year before, he claimed he discovered a Bigfoot skull. And he was a reputable guy. It turns out he was full of shit.
Yeah.
We got to stop having people be full of shit because they discredit the whole community.
Yeah, you
Had I
mentioned
not had my own experiences, it'd be hard to believe. But you know, I've had my own experiences.
Yeah, you
when
have.
I'm out in the woods, right?
the fellow.
Because I live right
does,
foot of the Superstition Mountains, and I mean, there's been tales of portals and interdimension openings,
Right.
and gates. I mean, the Native Americans have talked about this. I mean, here you get the four corners. Of course, you've heard of Skinwalker Ranch.
Right.
Sure.
I mean, the Indians. And there's hieroglyphs of like what they conceived as portals or interdimensional gates or doors that things go through. They come out. People disappear. They reappear years later, and they haven't changed.
I think there's a lot going on that we're just now starting to kind of scratch the surface of understanding.
Right.
And I think the next 10 years is going to be really, really amazing and important for all these type of things, because I think there's been a lot of people who've been suppressing a lot of information. I hate to sound like a wacko conspiracy theorist, but I'm not.
Well, it's like if you go and you try to get
to-
information out of folks that work for the National Park Service. It's
weird,
easy.
isn't it?
Yeah.
They don't want to talk about stuff,
No.
especially.
Well, I got to tell you.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was going to say
some of the more reputable investigators. Jeff mentioned missing 411. What's his name? Pilates.
Yeah. Yep.
The gentleman who does that. I think he's probably one of the more reputable investigators out there because he has a true investigator's spirit to him. He was a former policeman, a detective. He understands the process of investigation. And he's looking at this going, hey, look at these news clippings from way back in the 1800s. This is not a new phenomenon. This stuff has been going on for a while.
No.
Right.
And he's very methodical in his process.
I don't know what you guys think, but I really think there's been a consorted suppression of information from, like you said, my dad has a book of the 1800s, all the newspaper articles. And, some of them are probably full of shit because a lot of people like to, do stuff like that. But I think the Smithsonian and a lot of other people have kind of worked together to suppress things. I mean, even if you look at just on something that's like we see tangible evidence, like the Boneyard, Alaska guy who found all those fossils and bones up in Alaska that said people were like, those shouldn't even be there. And then he has records of sending that to the Museum of Natural History and them saying, well, we never got that. And he produces all these receipts. There's been a history of lying and cover up. And I think that even dates back to Bigfoot.
Well, that's what governments do. If there's something they can't control, they discredit it, they suppress it, or they outlaw it. And they don't have any control of it.
There's a certain narrative that they want to tell.
Right.
And if it doesn't fit that narrative, well, they tuck it away somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, guys, I don't know about you, but I mean, I personally had a Bigfoot experience when I was little.
So did Ed.
I was 8 years old. We had went to visit my grandparents up in eastern Tennessee in the Appalachian Mountains. It was a Sunday afternoon. I was nothing behind their house was nothing but woods. And I had one of my Joes, and I'm sitting there playing with my Joe, and I look up, and there's this huge creature. It was all covered in hair. It was just silhouetted out. It was like all black. I couldn't see its face. but I remember I could hear it breathing, and it was just, and I could tell it was looking at me. I wasn't scared. It wasn't threatening. I think I said hi, and I was continuing to play with my Joe, and then I looked up, and it was gone. It's like it didn't make noise. I didn't hear it walk away. So I've been obsessed with Bigfoot and cryptids ever since.
Yeah, it definitely will change your outlook when you have a personal experience like that. Was your experience similar, Ed?
I've had several actually, but yeah, my first one was I was probably like 10 or 12. I used to go to the Adirondacks and all the different places around here, just camping. I would go for summer times, and the first time I saw something, I was probably like 10 or 11, and we were canoeing on a lake in the Adirondack Mountains, and there was just this thing standing on the side of the bank that you could not. There's just no explanation for what it was, and it was moving. So it wasn't like a bear, because it was too big to be a bear.
Yeah, I was going to say, us dumb hicks that used to live down in the South, we think everything up north is big city, but there's a lot of wilderness up there where you live, isn't there?
Oh yeah, where do you live, Ed?
I live actually south of Buffalo, but the Adirondack is like 4 hours from me. So
because my wife, she's from Batavia, New York.
Oh, that's only probably 45.
It's right between Buffalo and Rochester.
Yeah.
Well, it's nothing but country.
When you get west where I am, it's all. I mean, yeah. And then there was one time I was staying at my cousin's house who lived right on the border of the Allegheny National Forest, which is in New York State and in the northern part of Pennsylvania.
Yep.
And there was a creek behind his house. It was about a half-mile walk down this path. And his mom always told us, don't go across the creek because there's the wild man of the mountain over there, right? We're always, yeah, whatever, blah, 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 right? So we went out to the creek, there's about 5 of us, all about probably 12, 13, we had our teenage testosterone, all daring each other to go across the creek and go up the hill. So we started going towards the other side, right? And it was a pretty big size. I mean, it was the Allegheny River. So, I mean, it was a pretty wide river. And we got about 3/4 of the way over there, and a tree about not even maybe 20 yards from us that was gigantic just started shaking, like violently shaking, like no wind, no other tree was moving. Just this tree was just shaking violently. And then you just heard the scream. We took off before we could stick around to see what was going on because we were way too close for that. So
tripping. Will, you had any skunk man sightings down there in Florida, or is it just Florida man?
Never had. Seen plenty of Florida man, but I will say, and there's news stories to support that. And a lot of those were theories, but I have a fact, and I think I'm not going out of the way here. I'm not being too bold stating this, but Bigfoot is the world champion of hide and seek. And that is not something that anyone could dispute. And until someone finds him, he is the reigning champion.
Right.
And I'm putting that out there now. I don't know if this theory or fact has been put out there in the community before, but world champion, #1, no one even close to Bigfoot when it comes to hide and seek.
Yep. He is the true forest ninja.
Yes.
Right.
People say, well, how come you don't find any bodies or bones? It's like, when's the last time you ever heard anybody finding a bear skeleton? And we know bears exist.
Yeah.
It's like, you just don't come across stuff like that.
Yeah.
Bears
and bobcats and all that. The forest reclaims them.
The white-tailed deer up here shed every year, and you're lucky.
You're lucky to find one.
I'm 50, and I found one antler in my entire life walking through the woods. Yeah, one antler, and it wasn't even whole.
And we know those exist.
It was chewed up by a mouse, so I mean, it wasn't even a full one, right? So
Pericles says Florida man's scarier than Bigfoot. I have to agree. I've met Florida man, and he can be terrifying, especially if he's got power tools.
Imagine looking in the mirror every morning and seeing him looking back at you.
To put it in perspective,
or if he's wearing Bermuda shorts.
To put something in perspective, like something like 65% of the Earth is still like unexplored.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think people sitting in their apartments or their houses on their cell phones, I don't think people really realize how big and how much land that there is on the planet, right?
I think it's gotten worse in the last 20 to 30 years.
For sure.
I went back to my hometown, and there was these wooded areas that we used to occupy my entire childhood. And I tried to go back and like visit those places, see if like remnants of my old fort were still there and stuff.
Yep.
They were so overgrown, and everyone's just so inside and not doing anything anymore.
So
All of these places are just no one goes there anymore. You can
like I tell everybody.
I met my first wife when I was 18 years old, and she was from Kenmore, which is just north of Buffalo, and it was the first time she actually saw a cow for real.
Right.
When she was 18, right? I mean,
so if you think about that, like 65% of the Earth Sun Explorer, just go out to a 5-acre wood, walk around, you'll get lost if you're not careful. So if you think about that, and you think about the United States and all the different topography and regions, it's not beyond the realm of possibility that there's something that is able to live in any one of those areas that's been there for generations, thousands and thousands of years. To think that it's not clever enough. I mean, what was it, the 1920s that they discovered the silverback gorilla? That was a myth until then.
Yeah.
And I think, what is it, the Congo? Is it the bonobo? Not the bonobo ape, but there's a chimpanzee that walks upright in the Congo.
Yep.
That's giant. I mean, it's like 6 foot tall, I think. I can't remember what it's called, but bongo. Bongo.
It was only like 10 years ago they discovered the largest cave in the world in Vietnam, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So the bongo ape.
It's a myth until it's not.
Yeah. Google bongo ape and look at that thing and tell me that wouldn't be a cryptid if you didn't know any better.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of wild in the wilderness.
100%.
Even those of us who are. Oh, go ahead, Adam.
No, I was going to say it's funny you said that because I saw a statistic that you could build 1,400 square foot houses, put them all right next to each other, and you could put the entire world's population in the state of Texas.
Yep.
That's how big the world is.
And that'd be like how everybody's living in India right now.
Absolutely.
Right.
And we're
just kidding.
several of us are avid hikers, but I usually stick to the trails that are already established. I don't try to go out in the wild because it's too dangerous if you're not well experienced.
Look at the state of Alaska. I bet probably 95% of that state has never even been explored.
Yeah. How many people get lost on the Appalachian Trail every year?
Year? Probably
100.
At least 100.
I wouldn't walk that if you paid me. Like, no way.
Yeah. And
I survived it.
I was going to say.
You did that? You did it, Ed?
Oh, yeah. I've done the Appalachian Trail. Almost all of it, yeah.
Oh, no kidding?
I've done portions of it that are in the Smoky Mountains, but I've never done the whole trail.
That's
but
awesome.
It's awesome. It's a beautiful trail.
It's
Most of it's pretty well marked, but even that has its dangers if you're careless or if you go out by yourself.
Humans are separated from the wild by thousands of years, if not more.
Sure.
And things that exist in the wild can detect us miles away. So the fact that, no matter how careful you think you're being, in any flying craft, if you just stand in your backyard and watch anything go overhead, they're loud, man. They are, anything in the forest would know that thing's coming from miles and miles away. There's no way that you're going in the woods and you're going to have one up on something that's existed in that's their world. There's no possible
especially if you consider it's something that could possibly be super intelligent like a Bigfoot, right? I mean, you're just not
Well, one place we can always find Bigfoot is on the big screen. He's been in a lot of movies. So let's roll on here and let's see some pop culture stuff. This I found to be one of the earliest, if not the first, movie that has anything to do with Bigfoot or Yeti, and it's horrible. I put the first and the worst because it's a stinker. It's called The Snow Creature, and it's basically a Yeti or abominable snowman, but the makeup's just goofy, and they basically stole the plot from King Kong. They go out in the wild and find this thing, and then they bring it back to civilization, and hijinks ensue. So
it looks like they just wrapped them in a bunch of towels or something.
It's
pretty
like a
much.
wizard.
Yeah, it's goofy. The first real film of any note is, of course, the '67 Patterson-Gimlin film. And,
this film has been
I've heard people
diagnosed
debate
and
this back and
dissected.
forth.
It has.
Oh man, it's
And that's
amazing.
a female.
And the fact- Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's a female. The anatomy, the way it moves, it moves like it's been injured. People have just gone through this thing and said, if this is a hoax, it is the most elaborate hoax ever done. And this was 1967. This is before CGI and all the fancy things they could do in Hollywood. And Hollywood people have looked at this and says, I can't replicate that, even with today's technology.
You know what angers me about this film is they've tried to prove it as a hoax for forever. They've even had people who've came forward and said, well, I sold them this and I did this and that. That's what I hate about grifters. That's what I hate about this type of stuff is there's always some jackass out there who wants to make a buck and is willing to come forward and say whatever. And this has never been disproven.
No.
Yeah. And Bob and the other fella that filmed this, they're just good old boys who are out in the woods testing out a movie. They weren't trying to catch Bigfoot. They were doing something else. And they got this footage, and everyone that talked to him said they're real sincere.
It's the best footage to date, I think. Ed, do you think there's any better footage than this?
No.
I mean, they've dissected this video, and they've used enhanced video techniques. I mean, they can actually see the muscles moving through the fur. Right. So it's like, and they see the breasts. It's like it's real, guys. It's like.
Well, the fact that it was done on 8mm film.
8mm film.
Yeah, I mean, you can't even CGI that. And you can the dissecting that they've done. It's not a person in a costume. So
right,
Robert Patterson and Bob Gimlin, they were harassed for a long time.
They were
sure.
It's not like they wanted to keep. If it was a hoax, they probably would have come out eventually. As much as they were harassed, Bob Gimlin stuck to his story till the day he died, and that was just shortly. That was just a little bit ago.
Even I saw a special on this, and they had like an extra 19 seconds of film that no one had ever seen before. She continued to walk away.
Yeah, they showed why they don't show that.
This is what I love about this film, because this film is clear as day. They filmed it. They didn't run away and get scary. You see all these other dudes on Instagram and TikTok who claim that they have Bigfoot videos. And it's always like it's always like my 4-year-old trying to videotape it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, come on, man. If you're going to if you see Bigfoot, have the balls to stand there, zoom in and video it. Take one for the team,
If I see Bigfoot,
I love it because you can tell that she's intelligent. She's not aggressive. She's just trying to get away.
Yeah. From all accounts, she was very mellow, just kind of, hey, I see you idiots. I don't know why you're here. I'm going this way. As long as you don't follow, we're cool, so it was trippy. But of course, this inspired all kinds of stuff during the 70s, including this classic.
Yeah, I remember
Bigfoot
that one
from 1970. I remember watching this one in repeats on, like the Saturday monster specials they do. It was a horrible movie, but it was fun.
Oh yeah,
it was just fun. So much fun that the Sci-Fi Channel in 2012 decided to do a remake of it that was almost worse.
That movie actually was worse than the original. At least with the original, you could give it, some leeway that it was done in the 70s. That 2012 movie was horrible.
But it did have Alice Cooper as himself. So,
great cameo. Do you remember Ed and Adam probably remember, and Jim, you guys are all around the same age group. Do you remember Bigfoot and Wild Boy?
Yes.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. Okay.
We'll get to it.
Okay, great.
And of course,
oh my goodness,
I was going to say we're all aware of Rule 34 of the internet. There is a porn of it, no exceptions, and Bigfoot is no exception to the rule.
Oh my
In
God.
1971, some enterprising young fellows decided to create a movie called The Geek, and it is a porno about a group of adults hiking and camping who were eventually ambushed by Bigfoot.
Jim, I'm glad you put
It's
this on
out
the
there.
screen, so now I know the exact title to avoid. At all
Jim, weren't you
costs.
born in 71?
And
I was born in
emphasize
71.
the word bush.
Indeed. I might be the love child of this.
I was wondering,
I don't know. So, Moving right along, 1972, things looked up a little bit with The Legend of
movie.
Boggy Creek, which a
This
lot of
one-
people say is one of the better films.
This one is actually what started my whole Bigfoot obsession. It was probably like, later on, 77, 78. I was only like 4 or 5 years old. I had an older brother. This was playing at the local drive-in or something, and my dad took us both to see it, right? Scared the living shit out of me. And I had
Yeah.
nightmares about Bigfoot for probably 12 months after that, right? My brother was always like, it's not real, dude. It's just, a movie. And we had this Planet of the Apes gorilla penny bank that had like, it cast a shadow from the closet right on the floor, the shape of a Bigfoot, right? My mom ended up throwing that into the basement, but I mean, this started it all for me. After this, I was just obsessed. I had to figure out if it was real or not. Then I figured out it was real, and then it was even worse.
Yeah, and that's the thing that made this movie, to me, kind of unsettling is the fact it's based on true stories from the 1940s of people's experiences.
Yep.
And it was filmed in a way, they called it a docudrama because it was people doing interviews, and they kind of jazzed it up to make it more of a horror film, but it was based on true events, or at least true experiences that people have reported.
It's a great poster
And,
too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I love that
Great
artwork.
artwork.
I was going to say too, though, just I've only had some encounters in the wild with actual animals, and one of those times was I was hiking and I came across probably a 15, 20-foot gator. It was on the opposite bank.
Jesus Christ!
Opposite
Yeah.
bank.
Just a
resting-
15, 20 foot gator. No,
Oh
nothing.
my God!
No big deal.
I mean,
Yeah.
I was on the high ground. I had a high embankment. It was on a log across the way from me. But that moment was like I stopped dead in my tracks when I saw it. And, I kept walking down the trail, but I never stopped facing that thing. I walked backwards for quite a while. I took some
Will's a true
pictures.
Floridian. It's just a 15-foot gator. Don't
Yeah.
worry
I
about
was
it.
going to say,
No,
did you pull a Kenobi? Did you get up and say, I have the high ground?
Yes, I did. I said, what do the people say?
You were
when they
my
get
brother,
up?
Anakin.
They're like, whoa, bear. I was like, whoa, gator. Whoa, gator. No, I'm just saying it was awe-inspiring. And, the feeling of dread I had when I spotted the thing, because it was so still that I didn't see it initially. I looked, and then when I recognized it, imagine seeing something that isn't a known creature, an animal, seeing something this majestic in the
Right.
wild. I mean, some people may not even talk about it. They may have seen
Sure.
this thing and just decided, universe just showed me something, and I'm just gonna keep that and
It's like
just
Fight
never
Club.
speak of it again. Yeah, just
Dude,
because that was a gator, or if you see a bear or a big cat, people, it changes you. It really makes you think twice, but before going out alone. And
Yeah. It's like you
you
only
know.
think you're at the top of the food chain until you come up against something that is a threat.
I'm
Hey,
gonna
Will.
go. I'm gonna go ahead and say Ted in the comment. I'm reading the comments. Ted Millich's comments. The comment of the night.
Can
There's
you
a
pull it up,
dude-
Will?
I don't
There's
think
a
you want to pull
dude
it
who
up. It's
says
so
he was
funny.
raped
This
by
one.
one. And
Stranger things have happened.
Great face.
Hey, Will.
Ted, you don't have to give your secrets away, man. It's all good.
Hey, Will. I could see you like Gandalf. You shall not pass.
Indeed.
I will. I'll upload the video and I think you could hear me saying like, all right, I'm just gonna because I walked away and then I was like, wait a second, and then I turned around and I was like, let me film this, and I tried to zoom in and I was really far away, but I'm
That
just saying
Facebook voice in your head started, didn't it, Will? No
like,
pics or it didn't happen, right?
That's
Yeah.
right. Now this one's a little bit lighter fare. Bigfoot obviously has
Great movie.
made some good comedy minutes,
oh,
and it
this
was
is a good one, yeah.
Great
it was
Bigfoot.
awesome. It also won an Oscar for best makeup, and the fellow who was under that fur suit is the same guy who played the Predator in the first film.
Oh wow.
hell
And I think in the
I didn't
second
know
film
that.
too.
Huh.
Yep.
The
And,
costume work on that character was amazing.
It's
That guy-
great.
Yeah, really good.
It
And
the
there was a
Jacklings.
television TV spinoff because the movie was so good.
I think that Bigfoot costume and the Jack Link's beef jerky Bigfoot costume
Oh,
are my two favorites.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we'll get to that. Now, here's a kind of an off one, but I had to throw it in there because I love Frank Welker. In the Goofy movie in '95, which Jeff's 4-year-old might enjoy, Bigfoot actually interacts with Goofy and Max when they're out camping, and he is voiced by the voice of Scooby-Doo, Frank Welker.
Yeah.
Cool.
Frank
So-
Welker.
My kids, my two younger kids, were obsessed with this movie. And they once they first saw it, and they know that I am a big Bigfoot fan, they had to make me sit down and watch it. I probably saw this movie 900 times in less than a year.
We'll have to watch it.
Yeah,
It's definitely
watch out for the
both the
Bigfoot
Goofy movies
cameo.
are good, Jeff.
We'll have
Yeah.
to watch it.
And then there's the
Oh,
horror
Willow Creek.
Great
genre.
movie.
Yeah.
Great movie.
I was surprised. This was directed by Bobcat Goldthwait.
Yes.
Well, he's a huge Bigfoot fan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bigfoot.
Huge Bigfoot guy.
And I've read about Willow Creek. This was a real happenstance, and he
Yeah.
took what he learned about that and made this. It is a horror film, and
Yep.
it's done
Yeah.
in that Blair Witch found footage style, but it's
Yep.
really good.
Might be one of the best Bigfoot movies I've ever seen.
Mhm.
Willow Creek
Definitely recommend.
was done where Gimlin and Patterson filmed that movie. And
Yeah.
that's what this was based on. But Goldthwait used to go out once in a while, like once a year, I think, with the BFRO and do all sorts of Bigfoot exploration and stuff. So
Yeah. So this one's
There's my
Right.
my buddy zoomed in from really far away. If you pull me up, you can see it on cam.
Let's see if we can pull that up here and see what
That's
it looks
just
like.
a still that I found of it. Whoop, can you see?
yeah, it's just
There's
a
a-
big
there's a
alligator
gator in that picture?
Well, no big deal.
The gator is in the picture.
I can see its leg.
My rule is any critter that's bigger than a Volkswagen Beetle, I don't want no part of.
Right.
Yeah, I'm pretty far away from it when I took that because I'm real zoomed in, so it gets real grainy real quick because I got the hell out of there.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I don't think I have the
But,
video though.
So after Willow Creek, there's some other contenders. Now, of course, there's a bunch of films in between these. I just cherry picked a few that I thought were interesting, but feel free to, go and check some out. This
That's a good
is
movie.
kind of a surprising one that I
Great
really
movie.
enjoyed.
Great
movie.
movie.
Yep.
Excellent movie.
I'm a big Sam Elliott fan. I
Yep.
love
Yep.
him in anything he does. And this was a really interesting story. It's
I've
set,
never seen
Title of
this.
this
Yeah.
movie, the movie is nothing like you're expecting, and it's
No, it's
Exactly.
not. No, it's
absolutely
not.
amazing movie
Nope.
though.
I thought it was going to be kind of tongue in cheek from the title. It's called The Man Who Killed Hitler and then Bigfoot. I thought it was going to be some kind of goofy comedy. It is a serious film.
I'll have to
It's
watch
set in-
that one. I haven't seen that
Oh
one.
man, it's
That's
worth a
that's an
watch.
excellent movie.
It's set in
Excellent.
1987, and all life on Earth is being threatened by some mysterious virus, and they find out the source of it is Bigfoot. And the only person that seems to be immune is this fellow Calvin Barr, played by Sam Elliott, who just happens to be a highly trained tracker and survivalist who was, and they show in flashbacks, he was part of a mission to kill Hitler. And of course they covered that up and had an actor play Hitler after he had been killed and all this. So nobody really knew what he did. And then the government calls on him and says, I know you're retired. I know you're old and cranky, but we need you to go squatching. We need you to fix this.
Yeah,
So you
I've
see
never
him
heard
and-
of this. I've heard the movie. Like I think I seen the
Oh, yeah.
thumbnail.
Great movie.
I've never seen it.
Definitely worth a watch. It was well done.
I'll check it out. Yeah.
Definitely enjoyed that.
Yeah,
So
me
that's
too.
that's Bigfoot in cinema, and then we'll kind of dig
Another
into
One of
good one?
One of the better movies I think that's come out within the last 10 years about Bigfoot is called Exists.
Yeah, I was getting ready to tell you that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great.
That's that's a really good movie. It
Yeah.
basically takes a couple of kids, they go out to their one of the kids' dads or uncles' hunting cabin in Texas, in the backwoods of Texas. And on the way there, they're driving and they end up running into a Sasquatch or something. But then, like, it basically shows it stalking them in the cabin. It's a horror movie done similar to
Blair
Willow
Witch.
Creek, but
Okay.
Blair Witch kind of meets. It's kind of like Blair Witch meets Bigfoot in a way.
yeah.
With
Nice.
camera footage and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a ton more films out there. I just picked a few examples to check out.
Primal
But on the-
Rage. Check out Primal Rage.
Yeah,
Primal
Yeah,
Rage
it's
is another
great.
good one.
Yeah, it's a funny one. Yeah, I like it.
But there's a little less on the small screen on TV, but some very memorable ones. Some of my favorites from growing up, and probably some of yours as well. First and foremost, this one here.
Best ever.
When he,
Yeah.
yeah, I remember watching the $6 Million Man, and when I heard Bigfoot was going to be on there, I was like, "Whoa, that's cool!" And the whole storyline, this guy, of course, played famously by Andre the Giant at first. And then the fellow that played Lurch, was it David Cassidy?
Can't remember.
I can't remember his last name.
remember
or
his
first
name,
name.
no.
But I think I've got it here in the slides. But they did this 2-part story, and it was so good and so popular as a television show, it actually got turned into a motion picture. They just took those 2 episodes, put them together, and made a film and showed it all over Europe and Mexico and South America. Found it was kind of humorous. If you look at the Bionic Man down south of the border, he's called El Hombre Nuclear.
That's a great name.
I love it. Yeah.
It's a great
But,
name.
That is a
Yeah,
great
Mike
name. I
Powers.
love it.
My
It was
brother
fun.
loves, $6 Million Man and the Bigfoot. I think, if I ever got my hands on, the actual, I know they're super expensive, but, I'd give it
Ted
to him.
Cassidy. That's who I'm thinking
Ted
of. Thank you,
Cassidy, yeah.
Pericles.
Pericles, yes.
Oh, and I didn't realize this. Thanos Copter says we also, see some Venture Brothers inspiration there. So that's a fun one. But there were 5 episodes where Bigfoot showed up. So we had The Secret of Bigfoot, part 1 and 2, and then The Return of Bigfoot, part 1 and 2. And then they just called the last one Bigfoot 5 because they run out of ideas for titles. But this Bigfoot was bionic, as many people know. He is an alien cyborg created by a group of aliens to basically hide their alien base camp they have in the woods. So they created this critter based on some sort of animal that lived on their planet and used him to scare off people so they wouldn't come and find their spaceship. So that was kind of the premise in the Bionic Man series. But
They would
It
have
was
got away
fun.
with it if it wasn't for those meddling
pesky,
kids.
that's right. And it is. Here's Ted Cassidy in the role and Andre. So the first appearance, the first 2, the 2-parter was Andre, and then Ted played the rest of the show versions of him. And then one of the first Bigfoot toys I remember was based on this, and I believe that's Ted Cassidy's likeness that they went for.
Yeah, it was based
when
off Cassidy. Yeah.
Mhm. And it's not a great toy as far as articulation, but it was fun, and it certainly was super popular, and is quite expensive to find one that's in good shape nowadays.
Yeah.
They turned
I
that
thought
body
it-
into Chewbacca for Star Wars. Kind of.
I was
Yes,
going to say
Same body,
his,
right?
Yep, same body they used for Chewie a few years later, and it was cool.
I still have my Chewie from back then.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wish I still had a Bigfoot because these things, man,
Oh,
they're,
yeah.
they're
Oh,
going
yeah.
for a mint nowadays.
Crazy,
A lot of
crazy
money.
amount of money.
But very basic construction, but it was kind of neat. And one of the few villains they actually made, him and Maskatron, I think was the only ones they made for that line. But he wasn't really a villain. He was just kind of a villain, but then they turned out to be a buddy later on. And then the one that
That's
Jeff
awesome.
mentioned,
Oh yeah.
Bigfoot and Wow
What a
Boy.
great
This
one.
was fun.
Yeah. I found this DVD at a thrift store. I put it on my Instagram because it's just hilarious. I thought it was like a bootleg parody. I didn't know this was a real TV show.
No, it was.
No, it was a real thing.
And,
Oh, yeah, it was a
I
great
threw it
TV
up on
show.
the TV, and it was, just hilarious. I watched, it was like all the episodes, they kept reusing footage. They just had these
Oh, yeah.
shots of,
Oh yeah.
of Bigfoot and Wild Boy. Like they put the
This
camera
was-
real low.
Yeah,
Just
this was
having
one of the
them over it, and they
brainstorms of old Sid and Marty Croft. They did Lidsville and HR Puff and stuff, and all those great, Saturday
Mhm.
Awesome
fair
stuff
kind of
back in the
things.
day.
That's just Chaka grown up.
Yep.
Pretty much,
Exactly.
yeah. He started out as just kind of a segment on their Croft Super Show, and it turned out to be popular enough. They gave it its own spinoff, and so it's these 2 knuckleheads fighting crime in
And
their,
I think these are
their neck of
all on
the woods.
YouTube. You could go pull them up.
Oh,
and
yeah.
just
Yeah.
I
watch
think
them
he-
because
I think you
after-
guys watch the
Then I think after that he
Chewbacca was
would,
the most popular character on that other show. So
Yeah,
and then Bigfoot would go to make beef jerky commercials.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. But
they they age
Yeah.
differently than us, Adam. That's why,
that's right. But it's cheesy fun if you want to check it out.
Yes.
Definitely interesting. But Bigfoot's everywhere, man. He is super popular. In every kind of merchandise, from T-shirts to action figures. There's even a cereal inspired by the Bigfoot. So let's check out some merch. He's one of the Pacific Northwest's most beloved icons, so much so that you will see signs like this literally telling you there have been Bigfoot sightings in the area, so be careful you don't hit one with your car. And it's kind of tongue in cheek, but these are actual official signs on sides of the roads in certain areas.
Well, I know Tom from the 435 movie show, Major Tom. He lives in Washington State, and he has sent all of us like official like decals and stickers, of stuff just like this. I mean, they take it for real. It's like it's a legit thing.
Yeah, there's some of those states up there that have no hunting Sasquatch actual laws on their law.
That's
books.
true.
Yeah,
it's actually illegal in some states to shoot a Bigfoot. Spokane's or Spokane, depending on your dialect. Yeah, the community college, their mascot is Skitch, and Skitch is a TikToker. He runs around campus with a cell phone, taking selfies and harassing students, and apparently is quite interesting. I don't do TikTok, but if I did, I'd be watching
clever
Skitch.
cover story.
Oh yeah, TikTok and Sasquatch. What more could you ask for?
Yeah, he's hiding in plain sight at the community college. So this is one of my favorite pop culture references. I'm sure you guys know about this one. In Star Wars Tales number 19, there was a story called The Great Unknown. The Millennium Falcon goes through a hyperspace jump and crash lands in what they think is Endor, but it actually turns out to be the Pacific Northwest around the time of Lewis and Clark. Unfortunately, Han Solo dies, and Chewie is left on his lonesome. And it turns out that the Sasquatch stories are based on, Chewie being stranded. And even old Indy Jones goes to check out some of these stories and finds the remains of Han Solo and gets kind of a chill.
That's a great story.
Yeah, it was fun.
That's better than any Star Wars story today.
Yes,
Exactly.
So there's even some Bigfoot lore in Star Wars. And
there was actually a whole miniseries of Bigfoot comic books that I have.
Oh yeah, by Nat Jones.
Yep.
From Dark Horse Comics. Those are
Is that right? Oh,
Nat Jones and Rob Zombie, am I right?
Yeah, those are.
Oh, that's
amazing.
an awesome series. IDW,
cool.
It's IDW, not Dark
Yeah,
Horse.
IDW, that's the one. Yep.
Yeah, and going further back, Marvel
Yeah.
Comics has had a Sasquatch for a long time.
yeah.
My favorite
Alpha
member.
Flight.
Yeah.
Alpha
Yeah.
Flight, yep.
So he's been a mainstay of comic books for a while, and very enjoyable. And then, of course, there's this Bigfoot, not related, but it is fun.
Legendary.
Part of pop culture.
Yep.
The fellow that built this thing, Bob Chandler, he just kept tinkering with it so much it became regarded as the first monster truck.
Yep.
And the name Bigfoot actually comes from Chandler's racing. He's so heavy-footed when he races this thing, he breaks stuff all the time. So they called him Bigfoot. But a lot of the fans, they associate it with, the furry critter Bigfoot anyway. So just so I throw that in there as just another pop culture reference. But now we're getting to the good stuff here.
Messing with the squad.
I love these commercials, and we're going to take a chance on getting yelled at by the algorithm, but I'm going to play one of these commercials because they're just fun. If you haven't seen it, you'll enjoy it. There's a whole series of these things.
And the costume is awesome.
It is fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
So let me run this real quick because I'm sure most of you have seen it, but if you haven't, really look at the costume. It's amazing.
Jack Links presents Messin' with Sasquatch.
Watch this.
Don't mess with other snacks. Choose Jack Links jerky made with 100% beef.
I love it. I love
Those are awesome.
Nothing
the
like
attack
getting a beaver
groundhog
shot
that he
out of a log
launches.
at you.
Yeah, exactly. Don't mess with the Sasquatch. But,
They almost have the same humor as the Allstate. What's the guy?
The
Mayhem.
gecko?
oh right,
Sure.
the guy. Yeah, he just anywhere he wanders, things just fall apart. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
Oh yeah, chaos.
Yeah, good fun. But this is a cereal. I don't know if you guys remember this. It was called
I do
Big
not.
Mix. It was only around for about a year, and it was not a great cereal. I do remember trying this, but they did this whole backstory in their commercials about cryptid sightings of this thing, and tried to really tie into the idea of Bigfoot and other cryptid lore. Their tagline was, "If you combine the wild appetites of a wolf, a moose, a pig, and a chicken, you have Big Mix, the legendary chicken wolf moose pig of the Yakima Valley."
I
And
never
you could
heard
get
of
free warning tape inside to put your crime zones or your howling zones where your
Oh
moose,
my
pig, chicken, wolf
God.
thing
God.
might show up. It was a gimmick, and it didn't last long. But it's fun to know that.
What kind of cereal was it, Jim? I've never even heard of this.
It was kind of, I would almost say it was kind of like a granola. It had kind of rice and oats, and it was kind
Does
of
not look good. Yeah, and good
It
to
was
know
not
that.
great.
They mix all the Kellogg cereal that nobody liked together, then
Yeah.
thought they'd try to make it sell.
You know, they could redo this and make it like Lucky Charms, have big marshmallow feet. It'd be awesome.
It would be
sell.
awesome.
I'd eat
Or-
it.
That could be the new Lucky Charm marshmallow. Bigfoot.
Yeah.
They should put it with the those General Mills monster cereals with the Frankenberry and Count Chocula.
Oh, I
Oh,
love
yeah.
those.
Those are the
I
best
love
ones.
those.
Call him Fruit Foot or something. And,
That's when I know it's getting close to Halloween, when I see those in the store. It's like, yep. Halloween is coming.
and another great ad campaign I enjoy is the Dr. Squatch
Dr.
ones.
Squatch.
That
Yeah.
soap is amazing.
Those are fun. And
Yep.
again, they just very tongue in cheek, and they're definitely lovers of the Sasquatch lore, so much that he's become the mascot for their product. And I grabbed one of their commercials too, because they're just fun. So let me play that.
Your soap is ugh, and your body wash is a synthetic detergent. But you're not a dish. You're a man. Switch to Dr. Squatch Natural Soap for men who build things. Open pickle jars on the first try. Slay dragons and let their daughters braid their hair. Men who like to feel good and smell titillating. Dr. Squatch takes you places you never thought you'd go. Naked.
I love how
Those are
Sasquatch
genius.
is just kind of
Those are
off to the
genius.
side. Yeah. But,
That's
it's
what I
just
do when I
good
get out of
fun.
the shower. I'm like, yep, I smell titillating.
Like plain tar.
Plus the whole thing of, everybody saying Bigfoot smells like skunk and cabbage.
Yeah.
It's like, who better to advertise a manly soap than a Sasquatch? So getting on to some of the merchandise that's out there, there's a company called Archie McPhee that makes a couple of interesting things. One being this Bigfoot character. He's about a 5 POA, very limited articulation, but it's kind of cute. They make all kinds of novelty Bigfoot stuff, from car air fresheners, like the little trees you hang from your rearview mirror. They got little Sasquatches, and they got lunch boxes. They got Christmas ornaments. You name it, they've probably made it. I grabbed a couple of examples just for chuckles. Should you wish to go out squatching, then you need a Bigfoot research kit, and they got you covered. This thing's got everything you need. You got Bigfoot crossing signs, you got maps, you got a magnifying glass, you've even got scat bags. Because
I got my son that kit when he was younger.
Did you really?
Yep.
Is it pretty cool?
It was
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah, those feet, those casts that I showed in the picture today,
Yeah.
were from the birthday. I carved feet out of the wood, and then we went out in the woods and actually made feet. And all the kids for his birthday, that was the giveaway. Was we made plaster casts of the Sasquatch tracks. And then
Oh,
we-
nice,
Great,
nice.
dude.
That's
That's
cool.
awesome. I love the emergency Bigfoot noise maker, because if you're going to be out hiking, you should carry one of these. You want to be able to communicate with the Squatch, so you can howl, snort, roar, or groan in a language he can understand. So maybe you can let him know you're not a threat. You just want a selfie.
That's awesome.
So that's
Gotta learn how to whoop.
Yeah.
and you can't leave your dog out of the fun. There are dog squeaky toys that are Bigfoot inspired, including these couple here. So I might even try looking for some of these to see if there's something I can use to make a custom Bigfoot for doing some pictures, because they're pretty big. But who knows? Even your dog loves Sasquatch. And then Fisher Price came out with this monstrosity a few years ago, and
I got my
it's
nephew.
kind of, yeah, I was going to say, it's like the worst of both worlds. It's a little bit of bionic Bigfoot. It's a little bit of, I don't know what all, but he's got a remote control, and you can make him throw a ball and play with you, or do exercise, pound his fists, and you know, it's a thing. So even Fisher Price got in on the Bigfoot adventure. And then, of course, here's some other random bits, including Ed's favorite, meditating Bigfoot, when you need some Zen time with your Squatch. If you want a bendy, there's a bendy. You want a stretchy, there's a stretchy. And even those god-awful Funko Pops did a Bigfoot. They've done everything.
Yeah, I was going to say they've done every license possibly known to man.
There's a really cool company called Epic Yeti, I think, and they do a Bigfoot that's really, really cool.
I was going to say there's a couple I saw, and I got some here that we'll take a look at. I don't remember that one, but I had to throw this in because what collection is complete without a little bit of Bigfoot scat to play with?
My God.
It is a silly putty.
Yeah.
Oh shit! It says
Exactly.
on the can, straight from the real all-time hide-and-seek champion. Oh,
there you go.
Yeah.
It is known.
Here's me thinking I had an original idea.
That's a thing, Will. Yeah.
That's it. I love their tagline here: "Secretive and shy, the mysterious Bigfoot leaves a little behind from his behind."
That's just the stuff that didn't stick to his fur. That's all.
I don't know which is worse, this or the unicorn poop. It's kind of neck and neck, but it's a thing. And I'm sure there's some kid out there that's got this for his birthday going, I thought you loved me.
He probably ate it too.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, my brother has both of these.
Yeah.
I was going to say, now, these are pretty good. I have their Loup-garou, which is a Louisiana dog man werewolf type. They're pretty big. Yep. And so they did a Bigfoot, Sasquatch. They did a Yeti, and these are about 8 inches tall. They're well articulated, and even come with a little base. And sadly, the company no longer makes these, but they are still available. If you look out there on the interwebs, you can find them. And other than that, we get into our neck of the woods here with the Joe encounters. The first one from back in 1973. Being
So cool.
The search for the abominable snowman, which was, you had this great big old box and you're excited and you get home, you open it up, and it's like you get this little teeny weeny statue of a
Well, they left the word pygmy off of there.
Yeah. They were big into pygmy everything, because pygmy was their code for let's make a cheap little toy that will fit in the box and we don't have to spend a lot on accessories. But
yeah, they go all in on the hero. The villains or the creatures, they just got the
they got
a second thought.
shrunk down.
I think Richard Gere put his up his butt.
Allegedly.
Is that what he sent the gerbil in for?
He sent the gerbil in to find the abominable snowman. That's it. But in 2002, they tried to redeem themselves a little bit, and they come out with this one here that we've talked about. Like we said, this is the same model as the Bigfoot that came out for the convention exclusive.
Yeah. Can I just say, how many times have we been had by beautifully illustrated box art? I mean, our entire childhoods were, video game covers, movie covers, and then you get this beautiful book covers. You get this beautiful artwork, and then you open it up, and it's like,
oh yeah,
nothing but lies.
Yeah.
I love
why
these
there were
old...
so many one-hit wonders of the '80s, thanks to MTV.
Yeah, I love
great
these,
video, and then the rest of the album sucks.
That's everybody's first marriage.
Oof, yeah. These illustrated boxes that they did for the Joe stuff were amazing. I love the art they put on these.
Oh yeah.
And you look at that, you're expecting to have something amazing, and you open it up and it's like, what the heck? Oh. But pretty cool. and then of course, this one,
Ooh, yeah.
where'd he go? Yeah, the one that I just picked
That's
up
great.
did a review on. I
Yeah.
love this set. It was fun. I honestly wish they had done this as the mass market version
Ooh,
rather
yeah.
than the Yeti. I think people would have really enjoyed this. Unfortunately, it's kind of limited distribution. There's not a whole lot of these out there.
That's
But,
one of my favorite club sets.
Salzburg agreeing with me that you rented a lot of VHS movies based on the great poster art in the
Yep. And then the movie was just
That's most of the
garbage.
porns I watched in high school.
yeah. So to wrap it up here, the existence of Bigfoot remains unproven, but its popularity endures. Movies, TV shows, toys. He's captured our imagination and will continue to do so for many years to come. And I'm thinking, Bigfoot needs a vacation. He's tired of the limelight. He's tired of everybody merchandising him. He just wants to be left alone. He just wants his quiet reserve somewhere. But that's all the tomfoolery I had for everybody tonight.
Teddy Roosevelt started it all. He put Bigfoot in his journal, and that just blew everything apart after that. So now
That's it. Well, now that was actually someone else's account that they told him the story, and it was apparently a pretty credible witness from what I remember reading.
Yeah.
Well, doesn't that go all the way back to Lewis and Clark? Didn't they have talked about that?
Yep.
I think there's a lot of stuff out there, and I think, like I said, it's just sifting through what's real and what isn't real. And I mean, you see now, I think my algorithm pumps Nephilim and giant stuff to me all day long. I got somebody who's got a giant story. I see a giant. I see that. I'm like, man, I hope one of these days somebody legitimately does come forward with something credible, like they're starting to do now with the UFO disclosure stuff. But I still even think the fact that the mainstream's embraced that makes me a little bit leery of it.
Yeah,
Whenever seeing
the Smithsonian took all those giant skeletons, so you're never going to find those out of the.
Do you think they're testing the waters? Like they just want to see how the public reacts? Like just
for sure.
Toes in.
But you have to remember the government. What they do is misdirection. Everything they do.
Yeah. Oh, so Pericles is talking about that comic y'all were mentioning from. This is Image Comics in from 2007 to 2010 called Proof. The main character is called John Prufrock, Gesundheit. And he's a Sasquatch who worked for the government hunting other cryptids. That sounds like a fun story.
That's cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of good comic books out there. There's one called there was one from Image called, I think, the Perhapanauts, which Bigfoot was a character in that. As well as a lot of other ones. Ed talked about the Bigfoot one with Rob Zombie and Nat Jones. Great series. I would definitely check that out.
That one's actually just called Bigfoot, I think.
Sci-Fi had a show called Sanctuary. Do y'all remember?
Yeah, Sanctuary was great. There was a main character was a Sasquatch, right?
Yep. And there were a lot of different cryptids that they were trying to save and basically create a preserve for them, which I thought was an interesting premise. So
I hope there's a whistle. We've got whistleblowers nowadays that are coming forward, and most of them seem credible. I hope there's a whistleblower at the Smithsonian or the Natural History Museum who comes forward with some pictures or something and says, hey, they've got this shit, and they're not telling anybody what it is. That's what we really need, right? We need somebody to come forward and say, this is what's going on,
Jeff, did you watch that series that was on, I think, History about those two brothers that were digging for the giants?
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it, but that was a really good series. That guy's got some credible stuff that he's dug up and researched just on giant skeletons from the past.
I mean, when you just look at the megafauna that was here, like prior to the Younger Dryas, if you subscribe to the Younger Dryas impact theory like I do, everything was bigger. So why would you think that there weren't bigger people? You know what I'm saying? Like, it just makes sense. But when you start looking at science, and there was trust the science, and then you're like, you start seeing how much people get paid by companies for research and how much they fudge numbers and shit. There's just a bunch of bullshit out there. I just want somebody to come forward with the truth.
Exactly.
The truth, like you tell your kids when you're little, tell the truth. This truth will set you free.
Well, even the Bible talks about giants.
Yeah, they do. They do.
And those could have
Abraham
been hairy
Lincoln.
giants for all we know.
There's something out there.
Goji mentions that Chap May made some cool Bigfoots. They did a play set through their Toys R Us Animal Planet
did.
toy line.
Do you guys remember Shadowbox Collectibles? Shadowbox
Yep.
made a bunch of alien figures. They made a Bigfoot figure. They made a Chupacabra. I think I sent Adam
Nice.
maybe or Ed a link to one of those one time
Yep.
on eBay. But Shadowbox made an awesome Bigfoot.
There's some neat stuff out there for sure. Yeah, we just scratched the surface tonight,
I
guys. 'cause
think
there's
it probably
whole
all
kinds of stuff.
exists. Everything is true, and history kind of exaggerates it and then
Yeah.
makes it go into the realm of unbelievable or something like that. Where giants, dragons. Why are there myths about dragons in
Right.
every culture in
Yeah.
all history? You know what I mean? But maybe they're just exaggerated. A little
That's
bit.
what I tell my
more-
son. Every single myth has a basis from fact in it, no matter
Where
what
there's
it is.
smoke, there's fire.
Yep.
Oh, absolutely. There's always a seed of truth, and you figure back then maybe they didn't have the terminology to describe what they were seeing.
Well, even when you talk about when the people in South America when the Spanish first arrived, and they saw these shit, they had no way to explain what the hell they were seeing.
Sure. Or people,
and
wearing metal armor, using swords and whatnot. It's like they didn't understand any of
a
that.
long time ago, 100 years ago, even 50 years ago, was so much easier to control information.
Yes.
And now with the internet and with people with cell phones, it's way harder to cover shit up.
Yeah, you're seeing all sorts of
Ted
alien
mentions,
videos and stuff come out.
Jekyll
from phones.
Island. That's another thing.
Jekyll Island, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's all kinds of weird stuff there. And especially when you start looking at Native American lore,
Yep.
a lot of their oral traditions, they talk about these beings, whether
Cut
they're
off
rival
from the rest of the
tribes
world
or,
for hundreds of thousands of years, or and
yeah,
still
and
had
some of
similar
their
clothes.
Right.
what do you call them? Their totems will have images of these type of creatures as well.
With Serpent Mound and Cahokia Mound here in Illinois, there's a lot of people that claim that there's giant skeletons buried in there, and there's a effort between the government and the Native American people to keep that quiet because nobody really wants to know what was in North America. Like if you watch the Graham Hancock series on Netflix, whether you think he's full of shit or not, he makes a lot of really compelling points.
Yeah.
You read his books.
I love that.
But
There's things going on that people don't really want you to know.
Indiana,
I love that
Illinois,
show,
and Ohio had
It's called
all their
America
burial mounds.
Unearthed. It's a really
Yeah,
good
America
show.
Unearthed. Yeah. There's a lot of good stuff out there.
And like I said, history is not what you've been taught. I mean, history is not what you've been told.
Well, my
There's so
rule of
much
thumb
more
is,
that- yeah.
What my rule of thumb is, if somebody comes forward and starts talking about something and everybody piles on and says they're full of shit, then you should listen to that person because those people feel threatened by what they're saying.
Cool. We'll have to check out Geek Strong. Apparently, he just found him a Harry and the Hendersons pull string.
Oh,
toy.
cool. Yeah,
I'll
awesome.
check that out. Those are fun. Yeah, there's some great stuff out there. I love the fact that it's a big part of our pop culture. It's, whether it's real or not, it's a part of, Americana and even worldwide lore as well nowadays. And we can have a lot of fun with that.
Yep.
Maybe the truth will come out someday, or maybe it never will. But either way,
I think it will.
It's.
I think in our lifetime, we're gonna see a lot of things come out that people are gonna be like, they can't hide it anymore.
Yeah. But either way, he certainly fits the spirit of our Beasties and Baddies show, and I'm glad we covered him tonight.
This is fun.
It was awesome.
Always fun hanging out with you guys. We're at about hour and a half mark.
Yep.
We could go all night, but
We could. I'm about ready to wrap
I'll give
it
you
up.
guys
Every time we get
I
out,
gotta-
we come
I
to the
gotta
link
eat
to the
dinner.
show.
Yeah, he's got
I was
dinner.
gonna
I gotta
say-
go.
I'll give our guests some final thoughts, and then we'll sign out for the evening. So
I had a great time. Thanks for inviting me on, Jim. We'll be in touch about doing a music episode. I think next time we'll all get together and talk about monsters. Jim, you do some ayahuasca, and the rest of us will do mushrooms, and we'll have the best live stream you've ever seen on YouTube.
That's right.
It'll be out of this world, man.
Yeah, Jim, Will, Ed, Jeff, love it. It was a pleasure being on here. I love it being on here, guys.
Great group of dudes, man. You guys are rock.
We
Always
have
a
a great
good
time
time,
hanging
Jim.
with y'all. Thanks, Ed. We definitely enjoy your guys' your channels and the fun that you have, especially when y'all collaborate on stuff. And just hanging out and BSing and talking Squatch was a great time tonight. I'm glad we did this.
Right on, man.
So we'll
that
come
guy.
up with another good excuse to come together in the very near future.
All right.
It doesn't take much. But everybody have a good night. Remember, hug your monsters. They're just misunderstood. They need love too, even the big furry ones.
Remember, don't pull your monster.
Not in public.
Yours isn't called the monster, Jeff. You already admitted that.
Oh. On that note, we're out of here.
Synthesizer.